3 weeks had passed since Maya's first day at Westbridge Academy. She woke up every morning at 5:30 to catch the early bus. Her mother left even earlier for work, but she always made sure Maya had breakfast ready and lunch packed. Maya ate quickly, grabbed her backpack, and walked to the bus stop in the dark. The classes at Westbridge were hard, but Maya loved learning. Her math teacher, Mr. Peterson, was kind and always answered her questions. Her science teacher, Mrs. Gupta, had even told Maya she was one of the brightest students in class. History was interesting, and Maya enjoyed writing essays about important events from the past. But English class with Ms. Whitmore was different. Every day felt like a battle Maya could not win. It started small. Ms. Whitmore called on Maya constantly, more than any other student. When Maya answered correctly, Ms. Whitmore would nod but never praise her. When Maya made even a tiny mistake, Ms. Whitmore would sigh deeply and shake her head like Maya had disappointed her terribly. "Class, this is why we must always double-check our work," Ms. Whitmore would say, looking directly at Maya. Careless mistakes show careless thinking. Maya started to dread English class. She would sit at her desk with her stomach in knots. Jennifer, who sat 2 rows away, would give Maya encouraging looks. But it did not help much. One morning, Ms. Whitmore handed back their first writing assignment. It was a short essay about symbolism in a short story they had read. Maya had worked hard on her essay. She had spent 3 evenings at the public library after school, reading and taking notes. She had rewritten her essay 4 times until it was perfect. Ms. Whitmore walked around the room, placing papers face down on each desk. Students flipped them over and looked at their grades. Maya heard happy whispers around her. "I got an A-. Yes, B+. When Ms. Whitmore reached Maya's desk, she placed the paper down harder than necessary. The slap of paper on wood made Maya jump. Maya flipped it over and felt her heart sink. D+. At the top of the page in red ink, Ms. Whitmore had written, "Weak analysis. Poor structure. Did you actually read the story?" Maya read through the comments. They were harsh and mean. But as she read her essay again, Maya knew it was good work. She had analyzed the symbolism carefully. Her structure was clear with an introduction, body paragraphs, and conclusion. She had used examples from the text. After class, Maya approached Ms. Whitmore's desk. Her hands were shaking, but she tried to be brave. Other students were leaving the room. "Ms. Whitmore, may I ask you something?" Maya said quietly. Ms. Whitmore looked up from her papers. "What is it?" "I do not understand my grade. I followed all the instructions. I used examples and explained the symbolism." Ms. Whitmore's eyes went cold. "Are you questioning my grading?" "No, I want to understand so I can do better," Maya said. "Miss Rodriguez, at Westbridge Academy, we have high standards. Perhaps you were used to getting good grades at your previous school, but things are different here. This is not participation trophy education. You actually have to earn your grades." Maya felt her face get hot. "I did work hard. I spent hours on this essay. Hours." Ms. Whitmore raised an eyebrow. "Perhaps you need to work smarter, not harder. Or perhaps English literature simply is not your strength. Have you considered focusing on other subjects?" Maya stood there, not knowing what to say. Ms. Whitmore turned back to her papers, dismissing Maya without another word. Maya walked out of the classroom feeling defeated. At lunch, Maya sat with Jennifer and 2 other students she had become friendly with. Marcus was a tall black student who played basketball. Aiden was a quiet boy with red hair who loved computers. "What is wrong?" Jennifer asked, seeing Maya's sad face. Maya showed them her essay and the grade. Jennifer read it carefully, then passed it to Marcus and Aiden. "This is really good," Marcus said. "This is at least a B, maybe even an A." "Ms. Whitmore gave you a D+ for this?" Aiden asked, looking confused. "That does not make sense." "She does not like me," Maya said quietly. "I do not know why, but she does not." Jennifer bit her lip. "Maya, I need to tell you something. Last year, Ms. Whitmore had another scholarship student in her class. His name was Daniel. He was from the Dominican Republic. She gave him bad grades all year, even though his work was good. He ended up dropping out of Westbridge and going back to his old school." "Why did no one say anything?" Maya asked. "Daniel's family did not want to make trouble. They thought if they complained, it would make things worse," Jennifer explained. "And Ms. Whitmore is very smart about it. She never says anything directly racist. She just makes things hard." "That is not fair," Marcus said angrily. We should tell someone. Tell them what? Maya asked. That she gives me bad grades? She will just say I am not working hard enough. It is my word against a teacher who has been here for 20 years. The group sat in sad silence. Maya picked at her lunch without eating. The situation got worse as the weeks went on. Ms. Whitmore began criticizing Maya's handwriting, saying it was messy, even though Maya wrote as neatly as she could. She criticized the way Maya spoke in class, saying she needed to articulate better. She even criticized the way Maya dressed, once telling her that a loose thread on her uniform made her look sloppy. Other students started to notice. Some felt bad for Maya but said nothing. Others began to whisper. Maya heard two girls talking in the hallway. Maybe she really is not smart enough to be here. I mean, Whitmore is a tough teacher, but she is fair. If Maya is failing, maybe it is Maya's problem. Maya wanted to scream. She was not failing her other classes. She had an A in math and science. She had a B+ in history. Only English was a problem, and it was not because of her work. Then came the big assignment. Ms. Whitmore announced they would write a research essay about social inequality in classic literature. They would have 3 weeks to complete it. The essay had to be 10 pages long with at least 8 sources. Maya felt a spark of hope. This was a topic she cared about deeply. She had lived social inequality. She understood it in a way many of her wealthy classmates might not. This was her chance to show Ms. Whitmore what she could really do. Maya threw herself into the project. She went to the public library every day after school. She read books about social class in Victorian England for Dickens. She studied racial themes in American literature. She read critical essays and took careful notes. She used her library card to print out articles because she did not have a printer at home. Her mother noticed Maya working late every night at their small kitchen table. "Are you okay, mija?" Carmen asked one evening. "You look so tired." "I am fine, Mama," Maya said. "I am working on an important essay." Carmen brought her tea and kissed the top of her head. "You are such a hard worker. I am so proud of you." Maya finished her essay 3 days before it was due. She read it over and over, checking every sentence, every citation, every comma. It was the best work she had ever done. She wrote about how classic literature often showed the struggles of poor people, and how those struggles were still real today. She connected the books to her own life and community. It was honest and powerful and true. On the day the essays were due, Maya printed her paper at the library. It cost her $2 from her lunch money, but it was worth it. She placed the essay in a clear folder to keep it neat. She handed it to Ms. Whitmore with a feeling of pride. Ms. Whitmore took the folder without looking at Maya. 1 week later, Ms. Whitmore called Maya to stay after class. The other students filed out. Jennifer looked back at Maya with a worried expression before leaving. Ms. Whitmore sat at her desk with Maya's essay in front of her. Her face was angry. "Miss Rodriguez, we need to talk about your essay," Ms. Whitmore said. "Yes?" Maya said, feeling nervous. "This work is far beyond your capabilities," Ms. Whitmore said flatly. "I do not believe you wrote this." Maya felt like the floor had disappeared under her feet. "What? I did write it. I spent 3 weeks working on it. This level of analysis, these connections to literary criticism, the sophistication of the argument, this is not the work of a student who has been getting D's in my class," Ms. Whitmore said. "I think you copied this from somewhere. Or someone wrote it for you." "No," Maya said, her voice rising. "I wrote every word. I did all the research myself at the library. I have all my notes." "Notes can be fabricated," Ms. Whitmore said coldly.
"I am giving you a 0 on this assignment for academic dishonesty."
"And I am reporting you to the principal." Maya felt tears starting to come. "Please, you have to believe me. I worked so hard. I can show you my research. I can explain every part of the essay. There is nothing to explain. Students like you do not produce work like this," Ms. Whitmore said. The way she said "students like you" made it clear what she meant. "What do you mean, students like me?" Maya asked, her voice shaking. "Scholarship students. Students who come from schools with lower standards. Students who are not used to the rigor of Westbridge Academy," Ms. Whitmore said, but her eyes said something different. Her eyes said something much worse. The classroom door opened. Jennifer stood there with her phone in her hand. Behind her were Marcus and Aiden. They had heard everything. Jennifer's phone camera was pointing into the room. "You all need to leave," Ms. Whitmore said sharply. "This is a private conversation," but the damage was done. They had heard Ms. Whitmore accuse Maya of cheating. Maya Rodriguez stood at the tall iron gates of Westbridge Academy and took a deep breath. Her hands held tight to the straps of her old backpack. The bag was from her older cousin and had a small tear on one side that her mother had sewn with careful stitches. Maya looked down at her uniform. It was clean and pressed, but she could see where the blue fabric had faded from many washes. Her shoes were polished, but the soles were thin. She had walked 3 blocks from the bus stop to get here. The building in front of her looked like a castle from a movie. It was made of red brick with white columns at the entrance. Large windows reflected the morning sun. Maya had seen pictures of the school online, but standing here in person felt different. It felt bigger, more impressive, more scary. Other students walked past her through the gates. They laughed and talked with each other. Their uniforms looked new and crisp. Many of them carried expensive backpacks with brand names Maya recognized from stores she never entered. Some students were dropped off by parents in shiny cars that purred softly as they drove away. Maya watched a girl step out of a black SUV. The girl's mother kissed her cheek and handed her a lunch bag before driving off. Maya thought about her own mother. Carmen Rodriguez had left for work at 4 a.m. She cleaned office buildings downtown before most people woke up. Then she would go to her second job cleaning houses in the afternoon. Her mother's hands were always red and rough from the cleaning chemicals. But those hands had held Maya's face last night and told her something important. "You belong there, mija," her mother had said. "You earned this. You are smart and you work hard. Do not let anyone make you feel small." Maya touched the scholarship letter in her pocket. She had won a full scholarship to Westbridge Academy because of her grades and her essay. The essay was about growing up in their neighborhood and watching her mother work 2 jobs. She wrote about wanting to become a teacher so she could help other kids like herself. The judges said her essay made them cry. But now, standing at these gates, Maya wondered if she had made a mistake. Everyone here looked so confident, so comfortable, so different from her. "Are you going in or just planning to stand there all day?" a voice said. Maya turned and saw another student. She was an Asian girl with glasses and a friendly smile. Her uniform was neat, but Maya noticed her backpack also looked a bit worn. "Sorry," Maya said quietly. "I am new. It is my first day." "I figured," the girl said. "I am Jennifer. Jennifer Chen. What is your name?" "Maya Rodriguez." "Come on, Maya Rodriguez," Jennifer said. "I will walk with you. Being new is hard, but it gets easier." "I was new last year." The 2 girls walked through the gates together. Maya felt a little bit better. At least one person had been kind to her. They entered through the large wooden doors into a hallway with shiny floors. The walls had paintings and trophy cases filled with awards. Students filled the hallways, talking and laughing. Jennifer showed Maya where the main office was. Maya got her schedule and locker number from the secretary, a nice lady with gray hair who smiled warmly. Then Jennifer helped her find her locker. It was on the 2nd floor down a long hallway. "What is your first class?" Jennifer asked. Maya looked at her schedule. "English. Room 204. Ms. Whitmore." Jennifer's smile faded just a little bit. Something changed in her eyes. "Oh, Ms. Whitmore. What? Is she mean?" Maya asked, feeling worried. "She is. Strict," Jennifer said carefully. "Very strict. Just do your work and you will be fine, probably." The word probably made Maya nervous. But the bell rang and Jennifer had to run to her own class. Maya found room 204 and stepped inside. The classroom was bright with large windows. Wooden desks were arranged in neat rows. About 20 students were already sitting down, chatting with each other. At the front of the room stood Ms. Helen Whitmore. She was a tall white woman with gray hair pulled back in a tight bun. She wore a dark blue dress and pearl earrings. Her face was stern, with thin lips pressed together in a line. She was writing something on the whiteboard in perfect handwriting. Maya found an empty desk near the middle of the room and sat down quietly. She took out her notebook and a pen. The pen was cheap and the cap was chewed, but it wrote well. She placed her worn textbook on the desk. The school had given her used books because new ones cost extra money. Her English book had someone else's name crossed out on the inside cover. Ms. Whitmore turned around and looked at the class. Her eyes moved across each student like she was inspecting them. When her eyes reached Maya, they stopped. Ms. Whitmore's expression changed. Her eyebrows raised slightly and her lips pressed together even tighter. "Class, settle down," Ms. Whitmore said in a sharp voice. Everyone got quiet immediately. "Welcome back to another year of English literature. I expect excellence from each of you. I do not accept excuses. I do not accept laziness. You will work hard or you will fail. Is that clear?" "Yes, Ms. Whitmore," the class said together. Ms. Whitmore picked up a clipboard. "I will call attendance. When I call your name, say present clearly." She began reading names. David Anderson. Present. Sarah Bennett. Present. The names went on. Students answered one by one. Then Ms. Whitmore looked at her list, and her mouth formed a small frown. "Maya. Rodriguez," she said, pronouncing each part of the last name slowly and wrong. It sounded like Rodriguez instead of Rodriguez. Maya felt heat in her cheeks. "Present. It is Rodriguez," she said politely, saying it correctly. Ms. Whitmore looked up from her clipboard. "Excuse me?" "My name. It is Rodriguez." "Rodriguez," Maya repeated, trying to be helpful. Ms. Whitmore stared at her for a long moment. The room felt very quiet. "I said your name correctly, Miss Rodriguez. Perhaps you should focus less on correcting your teacher and more on paying attention." Maya wanted to say that Ms. Whitmore had not said it correctly. Her name was important. It was her father's name. He had died when Maya was 6 years old. But the look on Ms. Whitmore's face made Maya stay silent. She nodded and looked down at her desk. Ms. Whitmore continued calling names. When she finished, she set the clipboard down and walked to the front of the room. "This year we will read classic literature," Ms. Whitmore said. "Shakespeare, Dickens, Hemingway, real literature from real authors. These books have stood the test of time because they represent excellence. They represent the standards that we should all strive for." She paused and her eyes found Maya again. "Of course, some of you may find these books challenging. Westbridge Academy has recently opened its doors to students on scholarship. This is a noble effort, but it means we must be patient. Not everyone comes from homes where reading and education are valued. Not everyone has been prepared for our standards." Maya felt like she had been slapped. She was a scholarship student. Ms. Whitmore was talking about her. Maya loved reading. She read everything she could get from the public library. She had read Shakespeare already. She understood what the teacher was saying without saying it directly. A few students turned to look at Maya. Some looked uncomfortable. Others whispered to each other. Maya felt her eyes start to burn, but she refused to cry. She kept her head up and stared straight ahead. Jennifer had been right. Ms. Whitmore was not just strict. There was something else. Something in the way she looked at Maya. Something in the tone of her voice. Maya had felt this feeling before at her old school and in stores sometimes. It was the feeling of being judged before anyone knew anything about her. It was the feeling of being seen as less than everyone else. Ms. Whitmore handed out papers with the syllabus for the year. When she reached Maya's desk, she placed the paper down without looking at her. Maya took the paper and read through it carefully. The books listed were ones she was excited to read. Maybe this year would not be so bad. Maybe Ms. Whitmore would see that Maya was a good student. But deep inside, Maya had a bad feeling, and bad feelings, she had learned, were often right. The notice came home in a sealed envelope. Parent-teacher conferences were scheduled for the following week. All parents were encouraged to attend to discuss their child's progress. Maya held the envelope in her hands on the bus ride home and felt sick to her stomach. She knew what this meant. Ms. Whitmore had reported her for cheating. The principal, Dr. Harrison, had called Maya to his office 2 days after the incident. He was a kind-looking older man with dark skin and warm eyes. He had listened to Maya's story carefully. "I believe you, Maya," Dr. Harrison had said, "but Ms. Whitmore is insisting that we investigate. She says your essay is too advanced compared to your other work in her class." "That is because she has been grading my work unfairly," Maya said. "All my other teachers give me good grades. Only Ms. Whitmore gives me D's and F's." Dr. Harrison had looked at Maya's grades from all her classes. He frowned. I see what you mean. But I cannot simply overrule a teacher without proper investigation. The parent conferences are next week. I think it would be good for your mother to attend.
Can she make it?
Maya had nodded, even though she knew how hard it would be for her mother to take time off work. Now, sitting on the bus, Maya opened the envelope. Inside was a schedule showing that Carmen Rodriguez was assigned to meet with all of Maya's teachers on Thursday afternoon. Starting at 3 o'clock, Ms. Whitmore was scheduled last, at 4:30. When Maya got home, her mother was in the kitchen making dinner. Carmen worked from 4 in the morning until noon, came home to rest, then went to her evening cleaning job at 5. The 2 hours between jobs were the only time they had together on weekdays. "Mama, I need to tell you something," Maya said quietly. Carmen turned from the stove and saw Maya's face. She immediately came over and took Maya's hands. "What is wrong, mija?" Maya told her everything. She told her about Ms. Whitmore's treatment since the first day. She told her about the unfair grades and the constant criticism. She told her about the essay she had worked so hard on and the accusation of cheating. By the end, both of them had tears in their eyes. "That woman," Carmen said, her voice shaking with anger and pain. "How dare she treat my daughter this way? How dare she?" "There are parent conferences next Thursday," Maya said. "They want you to come." Carmen looked at the notice. Her face fell. "Thursday afternoon. That is when I work at the office building downtown. If I do not work, I do not get paid. And if I call in sick, I might lose the job. I know, Mama, maybe you do not have to go. Maybe I can just quit. I can go back to my old school," Maya said, even though the thought of giving up broke her heart. "No," Carmen said firmly. "You earned your place at that school. You belong there. I will talk to my supervisor. I will make this work." That night, Carmen called her boss at the cleaning company. Maya heard her mother's voice from the next room, polite and apologetic, explaining that she needed Thursday afternoon off for her daughter's school conference. There was a long silence. Then Carmen spoke again. "Yes, I understand. Yes, thank you for understanding." When Carmen came back, she tried to smile, but Maya could see the worry in her eyes. "It is okay, I can go. But I will lose the pay for those hours." Maya knew what that meant. The money her mother would lose was money they needed for food and bus fare and the electricity bill. But Carmen hugged Maya tight and said it was worth it. "Your education is everything, mija. It is the most important thing. We will manage." Thursday arrived. Maya got through her morning classes in a fog of worry. At lunch, Jennifer, Marcus, and Aiden sat with her. "Is your mom coming today?" Jennifer asked. Maya nodded. "She is meeting with all my teachers. Ms. Whitmore is last. Do you want us to come?" Marcus offered. "We can tell Dr. Harrison what we saw. We have the video," Jennifer added. "We can show them proof." Maya shook her head. "I do not want to cause more trouble. Let me see what happens in the conferences first." At 3 o'clock, Maya waited in the main hallway. Parents streamed through the doors, most of them dressed in business suits or expensive casual clothes. They looked confident and comfortable. Maya watched them greet teachers and shake hands like they all belonged to the same club. Then she saw her mother coming through the door and Maya's heart squeezed. Carmen was wearing her cleaning uniform because she had come straight from her morning job. It was a simple blue uniform with her name stitched on the front. Her hands were red from the cleaning chemicals. Her face looked tired, but she had put on lipstick and combed her hair neatly. She carried a small notebook to write down what the teachers said. Carmen spotted Maya and her whole face lit up with a smile. She walked over and hugged her daughter. "I am here, Mija. Show me where to go." Maya walked her mother to Mr. Peterson's math classroom first. Mr. Peterson shook Carmen's hand warmly and told her that Maya was an excellent student, one of the best in his class. Carmen's eyes filled with happy tears. Mrs. Gupta said the same thing in science. "Maya is bright and hardworking. She asks thoughtful questions and her lab work is meticulous. You should be very proud." Mr. Thompson in history also had good things to say. "Maya writes excellent essays. Her analysis of historical events shows real critical thinking." With each positive meeting, Carmen stood a little taller. She thanked each teacher and wrote notes in her small notebook. Maya felt proud walking beside her mother. But she also felt scared. Ms. Whitmore's meeting was coming. At 4:30, they arrived at room 204. The door was open. Ms. Whitmore sat at her desk, looking at papers. She glanced up when Maya and Carmen entered. Her eyes moved over Carmen's cleaning uniform and something flickered across her face. Disgust, superiority? Maya could not quite name it, but she felt it like a cold wind. Mrs. Rodriguez, Ms. Whitmore said, not standing up or offering to shake hands. Yes, hello, Carmen said politely in her accented English. She was nervous, Maya could tell. Her mother always got nervous speaking English with people who made her feel judged. Please sit, Ms. Whitmore said, gesturing to a chair across from her desk. Carmen sat down. Maya stood beside her mother. Ms. Whitmore opened a folder. We need to discuss Maya's performance in my class. It has been concerning. The other teachers say Maya is doing very well, Carmen said carefully. They say she is a good student. Other classes may have different standards, Ms. Whitmore said dismissively. In my English class, I expect more. Unfortunately, Maya has struggled significantly. Her grades have been poor and her work does not meet expectations. Carmen looked at Maya confused. But Maya studies very hard. She reads all the time. She loves books. Reading and understanding literature at this level are two different things, Ms. Whitmore said. Recently, Maya turned in an essay that was completely inconsistent with her previous work. Suspiciously good, in fact. What do you mean? Carmen asked. I mean that I do not believe Maya wrote that essay herself. I believe she cheated, either by copying from the internet or having someone else write it for her, Ms. Whitmore said, looking directly at Carmen with cold eyes. Carmen's face went pale. My daughter does not cheat. She would never cheat. All students say that, Ms. Whitmore said, but the evidence is clear. The quality of the work is far beyond what Maya has demonstrated in class. Maya could not stay quiet anymore. That is because you grade my work unfairly. My essay was good because I worked hard on it, not because I cheated. Maya, that is enough, Ms. Whitmore snapped. This is a conversation between adults. Carmen put her hand on Maya's arm, silently telling her to calm down. Then she looked at Ms. Whitmore. Miss Whitmore, I know my daughter. She is honest. If she says she wrote that essay, she wrote it. Where did she write it, Maya? At the public library, Mama. Every day after school for 3 weeks, Maya said. I can show you all my research notes. Ms. Whitmore waved her hand dismissively. Notes prove nothing. Carmen took a deep breath. She was trying so hard to be polite, to be respectful, even though Maya could see her mother's hands were shaking. What can Maya do to show you she did not cheat? There must be a way to prove it. Mrs. Rodriguez, I have been teaching for 20 years. I know cheating when I see it, Ms. Whitmore said. Her voice was getting colder. Perhaps if you were more involved in Maya's education, this would not be an issue. Carmen blinked. Avi, I am involved. I help her every way I can. Do you? Ms. Whitmore asked. Do you read with her? Check her homework? Discuss her assignments? I work 2 jobs to pay for our life, Carmen said quietly. But yes, I talk to Maya about school every day. I make sure she has time to study. Ms. Whitmore looked at Carmen's uniform again and her lip curled slightly. Yes, I can see you are working. But perhaps if you spent less time scrubbing toilets and more time teaching your daughter proper values, she would not try to cheat her way through my class. The room went completely silent. Maya felt like she had been slapped. Carmen's face froze. But I suppose we cannot expect much from people like you, Ms. Whitmore continued, her voice dripping with venom. You come to this country, you take opportunities from others, and then you raise children who do not appreciate what they have. Children who lie and cheat instead of doing honest work. Tears filled Carmen's eyes, but she did not look away from Ms. Whitmore. When she spoke, her voice was quiet but steady. I came to this country legally when I was 20 years old. I have worked every day since then. I clean toilets, yes. I clean offices and houses. And there is honor in that work. I provide for my daughter honestly. I teach her to work hard and to be truthful. The values I teach her are good values, even if you do not respect the work I do. Carmen stood up slowly with dignity, even though tears were running down her face. Thank you for your time, Miss Whitmore. Come, Maya. Maya looked at her mother with complete admiration and heartbreak. Carmen took Maya's hand and they walked toward the door together. Behind them, Ms. Whitmore said, If Maya continues on this path, she will fail my class. And if she fails, she will lose her scholarship. Think about that. They walked out into the hallway. Carmen leaned against the wall and let herself cry. Maya hugged her mother tight, crying too. What they did not know was that 3 students had been in the classroom next door, working on a group project. The wall between the classrooms was thin. Jennifer, Marcus, and Aiden had heard everything through the wall. And this time, Jennifer had her phone recording audio through the gap under the door. Every cruel word, every insult, every moment of Ms. Whitmore's racism and cruelty was captured. The students looked at each other with anger and determination in their eyes. Enough was enough. It was time to fight back. Maya did not want to go to school on Friday. She had cried herself to sleep thinking about her mother's hurt face. Carmen had tried to be strong, making breakfast and packing Maya's lunch like always. But Maya had seen her mother wipe tears away when she thought Maya was not looking. "Mama, I want to quit Westbridge," Maya said at breakfast. "I will go back to Lincoln High, it is okay." "No, mija," Carmen said firmly. "That woman wants you to quit. That is what she wants. We will not give her that satisfaction. You will go to school. You will hold your head high. We will figure this out." So Maya went to school even though every step felt heavy. She got off the bus and walked through the iron gates expecting the worst day of her life. Instead, something strange was happening. Students were gathered in groups all over the front lawn. They were talking in urgent whispers, looking at their phones and pointing toward the main building. Maya saw Jennifer running toward her. "Maya! There you are!" Jennifer grabbed Maya's hand. "Come with me now. What is going on?" Maya asked as Jennifer pulled her toward a crowd of students. "We told everyone what happened," Jennifer said. "About yesterday. About your mom. About what Ms. Whitmore said." Maya's stomach dropped. "You told everyone?" "Not just told," Marcus said, appearing beside them. "We showed them. I sent the audio recording to a few people last night. They sent it to other people. By this morning, everyone has heard it." Maya looked around at the crowd. Students were staring at their phones, listening to something with shocked expressions. Then they would look up, see Maya, and their faces would fill with anger and sympathy. Aiden walked up holding his laptop. "The recording is everywhere, Maya. It is on every group chat. Everyone knows what Ms. Whitmore said to your mom. People are really angry." Maya felt dizzy. Part of her was terrified. Part of her felt something else. Something like hope. She was not alone anymore. A girl Maya had never spoken to walked up to her. She was a senior with long blonde hair and expensive clothes. "Maya, I am Sophie. I am president of the student council. What Ms. Whitmore said to your mother was disgusting. We want to help you. Will you let us?" Maya nodded, too overwhelmed to speak. By first period, something bigger was building. Students were talking about it in every classroom. Teachers tried to start their lessons, but students kept bringing up Ms. Whitmore. Some teachers looked uncomfortable, not knowing what to say. In second period English class with Mr. Davis, a student raised his hand. "Mr. Davis, have you heard the recording of what Ms. Whitmore said?" Mr. Davis, a young black teacher, nodded slowly. "I have heard it, and I want you all to know that what was said was completely unacceptable. That kind of discrimination has no place in education." "So what happens now?" another student asked. "Does she just get away with it?" "That is not for me to decide," Mr. Davis said carefully. "But I can tell you that I have already spoken to Dr. Harrison about it this morning. The administration is aware." During lunch, the cafeteria buzzed with energy. Sophie from student council stood up on a chair and called for attention. The room went quiet. "Everyone listen. We all know what happened to Maya Rodriguez and her mother yesterday. We have all heard what Ms. Whitmore said. This is not okay. This is racism. This is bullying. And we are not going to ignore it anymore." Students cheered and clapped. Sophie continued, "I have been doing some research. I talked to students from last year and the year before. Ms. Whitmore has a history of treating certain students badly. Students of color, scholarship students, students she thinks are beneath her. We have 7 students willing to share their stories about how Ms. Whitmore treated them." A tall Indian boy stood up. "She told me my accent was unprofessional and that I should practice speaking normal English if I wanted to succeed." A black girl stood up. "She gave me detention for wearing my hair in braids, saying it was against dress code. But white girls wear braids all the time and she says nothing." One by one, students stood up and shared their stories. Maya listened with tears in her eyes. She had thought she was alone, but Ms. Whitmore had hurt so many others. Sophie raised her hand for quiet again. "Here is what we are going to do. We are going to collect all these testimonies in writing. We are going to document everything. And we are not going to Ms. Whitmore's class until something is done. Who is with me?" The cafeteria erupted in cheers. Maya could not believe what was happening. Students were standing up for her. For all of them. After lunch, fourth period arrived. It was Ms. Whitmore's English class. Maya, Jennifer, Marcus, Aiden, and 15 other students walked to room 204 together. But they did not go inside. Instead, they sat down in the hallway right outside the classroom door. Ms. Whitmore came out of her room. "What is going on?" "Get to class immediately." "We are not attending your class, Ms. Whitmore," Sophie said calmly. She was in this English section too. "We are protesting the racist and discriminatory things you said to Maya's mother." Ms. Whitmore's face went red. "This is ridiculous. You will all receive detention. Get inside now." "No," Marcus said. "We are staying here." Other students from different classes were gathering in the hallway, watching and recording on their phones. Ms. Whitmore looked around, seeing all the cameras pointed at her. She went back into her classroom and slammed the door. The students sat in peaceful silence. Some did homework. Some read books. Jennifer had made a sign that said "Students Against Racism" and propped it against the wall. Within minutes, Dr. Harrison arrived with 2 other administrators. "Students, I understand you are upset, but you need to go to class," Dr. Harrison said. He did not sound angry, just concerned. "With respect, Dr. Harrison, we are staying here until something is done about Ms. Whitmore," Sophie said. "We have all submitted written testimonies about her behavior. This is not just about Maya anymore. This is about years of discrimination." Dr. Harrison looked at the crowd of students, at the phones recording, at the determination on their young faces. "All right, I will make you a deal. Come to the auditorium with me. All of you, let us talk about this properly. But you cannot block the hallway. Other students need to get to class," the protesters agreed. They got up and followed Dr. Harrison to the auditorium. By the time they arrived, word had spread and more students joined. Soon there were over 100 students filling the seats. Dr. Harrison stood on the stage. "I want to hear from you, one at a time. Tell me what has been happening." For the next hour, students spoke. They shared stories about Ms. Whitmore's comments, her unfair grading, her discrimination. Maya stood up and told her story, her voice shaking but clear. She talked about her essay, the accusation of cheating, and what Ms. Whitmore had said to her mother. When Maya sat down, the auditorium was completely silent. Then one student started clapping. Then another. Soon everyone was applauding Maya for her courage. Dr. Harrison looked shaken. "Thank you all for sharing. I promise you I am taking this very seriously. Ms. Whitmore will be suspended immediately while we investigate." "Suspended is not enough," someone called out. "She should be fired." "These investigations take time," Dr. Harrison said. "But I promise you there will be consequences. Justice will be done. You have my word." That evening, Maya got home to find her mother watching the local news. On the screen was a reporter standing in front of Westbridge Academy. Student protests erupted today at prestigious Westbridge Academy after a recording surfaced of a teacher making racist comments to a parent. The teacher, Ms. Helen Whitmore, has been suspended pending investigation. Students are demanding her termination. The report showed students sitting in the hallway holding signs. Maya saw herself on television telling her story. The reporter continued, "The parent at the center of this controversy, Carmen Rodriguez, is a hard-working immigrant mother who cleans offices to support her daughter's education. The student, Maya Rodriguez, is a scholarship recipient with excellent grades in all her other classes." Carmen grabbed Maya's hand, tears streaming down her face. "Mija, look. People are listening. They believe you." Maya's phone buzzed constantly. Messages poured in from students she barely knew, offering support. There were messages from parents, too, expressing outrage at Ms. Whitmore's behavior. The hashtag #StandWithMaya was trending on social media. Jennifer called. "Maya, turn on Channel 7 News." Maya switched channels. Another reporter was interviewing Sophie from student council on the school's front steps. "This is about more than one teacher," Sophie was saying to the camera. "This is about creating a school where every student is treated with respect, regardless of their background or how much money their family has. We will not stop until real change happens." The next day, Saturday, Maya woke up to find her mother reading something on her old phone. Carmen was crying, but this time she was smiling too. "Mija, look at this," Carmen said, showing Maya the screen. It was a GoFundMe page. Someone had started it to help Maya's family with the money Carmen had lost from taking time off work, but it had raised more than that. Much more. Over $5,000. The description read, Carmen Rodriguez is a devoted mother who works 2 jobs to support her daughter's education. She was humiliated and insulted by a racist teacher for doing honest work. Let us show her that her work has dignity and value. Let us help this family. Mama, look at all these people donating, Maya said, scrolling through the comments. People, from all over the city and even from other states, were giving money and writing messages of support. You are an inspiration, one comment read. Thank you for raising such a brave daughter, said another. Cleaning is honorable work. You are honorable, wrote someone else. Carmen could not stop crying. I never imagined. All these people. On Monday, Maya returned to school wondering what would happen next. Ms. Whitmore's classroom was empty. There was a substitute teacher. But that was just the beginning. The story had gotten too big to ignore. News reporters were camped outside the school. Parents were demanding meetings with the school board. Current and former students were coming forward with more stories about Ms. Whitmore's discrimination over the years. In the cafeteria, Maya sat with Jennifer, Marcus, Aiden, and a growing group of friends. I cannot believe this is really happening, Maya said. Believe it, Marcus said. You spoke up. We all spoke up. Change is happening. Sophie walked over to their table. Maya, there is someone who wants to talk to you. A woman in a business suit approached. Maya Rodriguez? I am Laura Chen, a lawyer. I work for a civil rights organization. We would like to help you and your family. What Ms. Whitmore said was not just cruel, it was discrimination. You have legal options if you want to pursue them. Maya looked at her friends, then back at the lawyer. A few weeks ago, she had felt powerless and alone. She had thought about quitting, about giving up. Now she realized something important. She was not powerless. Her voice mattered, and when people stood together, they could create change. Thank you, Maya said to the lawyer. Yes, I want to talk about options. But first, I want to make sure this never happens to another student at this school. That is what matters most. The lawyer smiled. I think we can help with that too. As Maya walked through the halls that day, students smiled at her. Teachers nodded with respect. The girl who once felt invisible now felt seen. The journey was not over. There was still work to do, still battles to fight. But for the first time since arriving at Westbridge Academy, Maya felt like she truly belonged. Not because she had proven herself to people like Ms. Whitmore, but because she had found her voice and refused to be silenced. And that was the most powerful lesson of all. The school board meeting was scheduled for Thursday evening, exactly 2 weeks after Ms. Whitmore's suspension. The meeting was open to the public and the auditorium at the district office was packed. News cameras lined the back wall. Parents filled every seat. Students stood along the sides when there was no more room to sit. Maya sat in the front row between her mother and Jennifer. Marcus and Aiden sat right behind them. Maya wore her best dress, one that her mother had bought from a thrift store and carefully mended. Carmen wore a simple black dress and had her hair pulled back neatly. She held Maya's hand tight. The 5 school board members sat at a long table on the stage. Dr. Harrison sat to the side with other administrators. In another section, separated by an empty row of chairs, sat Ms. Whitmore. She wore a gray suit, and her face was hard and angry. Her lawyer, a man in an expensive suit, sat beside her. The board president, a woman named Mrs. Patterson, called the meeting to order. We are here tonight to discuss the findings of our investigation into complaints against Ms. Helen Whitmore, a teacher at Westbridge Academy. This investigation was thorough and included interviews with students, parents, teachers, and a review of Ms. Whitmore's grading records and communications. Mrs. Patterson looked out at the crowded room. Before we begin, I want to remind everyone that this is a formal proceeding. Please hold your comments and reactions until the public comment period. She nodded to Dr. Harrison, who stood up and walked to a microphone. He held a thick folder of papers. The investigation covered Ms. Whitmore's conduct over the past 5 years. We interviewed 42 students, both current and former. We reviewed grading patterns. We examined emails and documented incidents. What we found was deeply troubling. Dr. Harrison opened the folder. We found a clear pattern of discriminatory behavior. Students of color, particularly Black and Latino students, received significantly lower grades in Ms. Whitmore's classes compared to white students with similar academic performance. When these grades were reviewed by independent teachers, they were found to be unjustifiably harsh. Ms. Whitmore's lawyer started to stand up, but Mrs. Patterson held up her hand. You will have time to respond. Please let Dr. Harrison finish. Dr. Harrison continued. We found multiple instances of inappropriate comments about students' backgrounds, families, and cultures. We found evidence that Ms. Whitmore consistently recommended against scholarship students being admitted to advanced classes, despite their qualifications. We found that 12 scholarship students have left Westbridge Academy over the past 5 years, and 10 of them cited Ms. Whitmore's treatment as a primary reason. The room buzzed with angry whispers. Mrs. Patterson gavelled for silence. Most seriously, Dr. Harrison said, his voice heavy. The audio recording of Ms. Whitmore's conference with Mrs. Rodriguez clearly demonstrates racist attitudes and verbal abuse. Ms. Whitmore made derogatory comments about Mrs. Rodriguez's profession and immigration status, neither of which were relevant to the conference. She used phrases like, "people like you," in a clearly discriminatory context. This behavior violates our code of conduct, our anti-discrimination policies, and basic human decency. Dr. Harrison sat down. The room was completely silent. Maya felt her mother trembling beside her. Carmen had to hear it all again, had to relive that terrible moment in front of all these people. Mrs. Patterson looked at Ms. Whitmore. Ms. Whitmore, you have the right to respond to these findings. Ms. Whitmore stood up. Her lawyer tried to stop her, whispering urgently, but she shook her head and walked to the microphone. This is a witch hunt, she said, her voice cold and sharp. I have dedicated 20 years to Westbridge Academy. 20 years of maintaining high standards and pushing students to excellence, and now I am being destroyed because I refuse to lower those standards. Ms. Whitmore, Mrs. Patterson started to say. No, I will speak, Ms. Whitmore interrupted. That recording was taken without my knowledge or consent. It was a private conversation. And yes, I was frustrated. Mrs. Rodriguez's daughter had clearly cheated on an assignment. When parents refuse to acknowledge their children's failings, it is frustrating. Maya felt anger surge through her. She started to stand, but her mother pulled her back down gently. Ms. Whitmore continued, I have never discriminated against anyone. If certain students struggle in my class, it is because they are not prepared for the rigor of Westbridge Academy. I cannot help it if the truth sounds harsh. Someone has to maintain standards even when it is unpopular. She sat down. Her lawyer looked like he wanted to disappear. The crowd erupted in angry shouts. People were yelling at Ms. Whitmore, calling her names. Mrs. Patterson banged the gavel repeatedly until there was quiet again. We will now hear from affected parties, Mrs. Patterson said. Maya Rodriguez, would you like to speak? Maya stood up on shaky legs and walked to the microphone. The room felt enormous. All those eyes watching her, the cameras recording. But then she looked back at her mother, who was nodding encouragement. She thought about all the other students Ms. Whitmore had hurt. She took a deep breath. My name is Maya Rodriguez, she began. Her voice was soft at first, but it grew stronger. I came to Westbridge Academy on scholarship. I was so excited. I love learning. I love reading. I work hard in all my classes. My teachers say I am a good student. All of them except Ms. Whitmore. Maya told her story. She told about the first day when Ms. Whitmore mispronounced her name on purpose. She told about the unfair grades and constant criticism. She told about the essay she worked so hard on, only to be accused of cheating. The room was completely silent as she spoke. But the worst part was what she said to my mother, Maya said, her voice breaking. My mother is the hardest working person I know. She gets up at 4 a.m. to clean offices. She works a second job in the afternoon. She does this so I can have opportunities she never had. And Ms. Whitmore insulted her. She said my mother should spend less time scrubbing toilets and more time teaching me values. She said we cannot expect much from people like us. Maya looked directly at Ms. Whitmore. My mother has taught me values. She taught me to work hard, to be honest, to treat everyone with respect no matter what job they do or where they come from. Those are good values, better than the values Ms. Whitmore has shown. Maya sat down. The room erupted in applause. Carmen hugged her daughter tight, crying. One by one, other students came forward to speak. A boy named Daniel, who had left Westbridge last year, told about how Ms. Whitmore gave him failing grades and told him he should go back to his country. A girl named Jasmine told about how Ms. Whitmore said her hair was unprofessional. Marcus spoke about watching Ms. Whitmore treat his friend with cruelty while he felt powerless to help. Then parents spoke. Some were angry, some were crying. All of them demanded justice. Finally, Carmen walked to the microphone. She was nervous, Maya could tell. Her mother's hands were shaking and her accent was stronger when she was nervous. But Carmen stood tall. I want to say something, Carmen began. I am not an educated woman like many of you. I came to this country when I was 20. I cleaned for a living. My English is not perfect, but I am not stupid, and I am not worthless. I work hard. I pay my taxes. I raise my daughter with love and good values. Carmen's voice got stronger. When Ms. Whitmore said those things to me, it hurt very much. But I have been hurt before by people who think they are better than me. What hurt more was seeing my daughter's face, seeing Maya think that maybe I was not good enough. Maybe we were not good enough for that school. Tears ran down Carmen's face, but she kept talking. But then something beautiful happened. The students stood up. These young people, they said no. They said what happened was wrong. They showed my daughter that she does belong, that we both belong. They showed more courage and more values than Ms. Whitmore ever did. Carmen looked at the school board. I do not want revenge. I want my daughter to go to a school where every child is treated fairly, where teachers respect all families, rich or poor, where the color of your skin or your last name does not matter. That is what I want. That is what all parents want for their children. The room exploded in applause as Carmen sat down. People were standing, clapping, some wiping tears from their eyes. Maya hugged her mother tight. The board members talked quietly among themselves for a few minutes. Then Mrs. Patterson spoke into the microphone. The board needs to deliberate in private. We will take a 30-minute recess and then announce our decision. Those 30 minutes felt like hours. Maya and her friends went outside to the hallway. News reporters tried to interview them, but Sophie, who had come with other student council members, told them to wait. Let the board decide first, she said. Finally, they were called back in. Everyone found their seats. The room was tense with anticipation. Mrs. Patterson looked serious as she began to speak. The school board has reviewed all the evidence presented in the investigation. We have listened to the testimonies tonight. We have discussed this matter carefully, she said. Ms. Helen Whitmore, please stand. Ms. Whitmore stood up. For the first time, she looked worried. The board has decided unanimously to terminate your employment with this district, effective immediately, Mrs. Patterson said. Your behavior was discriminatory, unprofessional, and harmful to students. It violated multiple policies and created a hostile environment. You are no longer welcome in our schools. The room erupted. People cheered and clapped. Ms. Whitmore's face went red, then white. Her lawyer was talking to her urgently. She grabbed her purse and rushed toward the exit. As she passed Maya's row, she glared at Maya with pure hatred. But Maya did not look away. She met Ms. Whitmore's eyes with quiet strength. Then Ms. Whitmore was gone, and it felt like a dark cloud had lifted. Mrs. Patterson gavelled for quiet. Furthermore, the board is taking additional actions. We are implementing mandatory anti-bias training for all teachers and staff in the district. We are creating a student advisory board to report concerns about discrimination. We are reviewing our policies to ensure scholarship students and students of color are supported and protected. She looked at Maya and Carmen. To the Rodriguez family, on behalf of this district, I apologize. What you experienced should never happen. We failed you. We promise to do better. After the meeting, people crowded around Maya and Carmen. Parents hugged them. Students took pictures. A reporter from the biggest newspaper in the city asked for an interview. Carmen agreed, speaking about the importance of respecting all types of work and treating everyone with dignity. Dr. Harrison approached them. Maya, I want you to know that your essay, the one Ms. Whitmore accused you of plagiarizing, has been reviewed by 3 other English teachers. They all agree it deserves an A, and they all want it published in our school literary magazine. Maya felt tears of happiness. Really? Really, Dr. Harrison smiled. You are a talented writer, Maya. Never let anyone tell you different. As they left the building that night, Maya held her mother's hand and looked up at the stars. Justice had been done. Ms. Whitmore was gone. Real change was beginning. But more than that, Maya had learned something important. She had learned that her voice mattered, that standing up for what was right was worth the fear and pain, that ordinary people, working together, could defeat injustice. Mama, are you okay? Maya asked. Carmen smiled, really smiled for the first time in weeks. Yes, mija. I am better than okay. I am proud. So very proud of you. They walked to the bus stop together, mother and daughter, their heads held high. The battle was won, but the journey of healing and change was just beginning. 3 months had passed since the school board meeting. Spring had arrived at Westbridge Academy, filling the campus with blooming flowers and warm sunshine. Maya walked through the iron gates each morning with her head held high, no longer afraid. The changes at school had been real and meaningful. Ms. Whitmore's old classroom, room 204, now belonged to a young teacher named Mr. Williams. He was a black man who had grown up poor and earned his way to college on scholarship. On his first day, he told the class, I know what it is like to be underestimated. I will never do that to you. Every student in this room has value and potential. His teaching style was completely different from Ms. Whitmore's. He encouraged discussion. He praised good work. When students struggled, he offered help instead of criticism. Maya loved his class and her grades showed it. She had earned straight A's on every assignment. The mandatory anti-bias training had taken place over 2 full days. All teachers and staff had to attend. Some teachers took it seriously and really listened. Others seemed annoyed, like it was a waste of time, but at least they had to sit through it. At least they had to hear about unconscious bias and the harm it causes. The Student Advisory Board had been created just as promised. It had 10 members, elected by the student body. Jennifer was on it. So was Marcus. They met with Dr. Harrison once a month to discuss concerns and suggest improvements. Already, they had helped create a mentorship program pairing scholarship students with older students. They had also changed some of the dress code rules that unfairly targeted students of color. But the biggest change was not a rule or a program. It was a feeling. The whole school felt different now. Students felt safer speaking up. They felt like their voices mattered. Teachers seemed more aware, more careful, more thoughtful. Of course, not everyone was happy about what happened. Some parents complained that Ms. Whitmore had been treated unfairly. They said she was just strict, not racist. They said students these days were too sensitive. But most people disagreed with them. Most people understood that what Ms. Whitmore did was wrong, and that consequences were necessary. Maya's essay, the one Ms. Whitmore had accused her of plagiarizing, was published in the spring edition of the school literary magazine. It was called The Dignity of Work, Social Class and Classic Literature. When the magazine came out, students came up to Maya in the hallways to tell her how much they loved it. One senior girl told Maya that the essay made her think differently about her own family's housekeeper. I never really saw her as a real person before, the girl admitted, looking ashamed. Your essay opened my eyes. The essay also won first place in a regional writing competition. The prize was $500 in publication in a state literary journal. When Maya found out, she cried happy tears. Carmen took the day off work to attend the awards ceremony. They sat in the audience holding hands while Maya's name was announced. When Maya walked onto the stage to accept her award, Carmen stood up and clapped louder than anyone. The local newspaper had done a follow-up article about Maya and her family. The reporter came to their small apartment and took pictures of Maya studying at the kitchen table, where she had written her prize-winning essay. Carmen was interviewed too. She talked about the importance of education and about raising a daughter who stood up for justice. After that article ran, something unexpected happened. A woman named Mrs. Chen, who owned a cleaning company, called Carmen. "I read your story in the paper," Mrs. Chen said. "I am looking for someone to manage my business. Someone reliable and honest, someone who understands the work and the workers. Would you be interested?" Carmen could hardly believe it. The job paid more than her 2 cleaning jobs combined. It had normal hours, 9 to 5. It came with health insurance. Carmen accepted immediately. She gave notice at her other jobs and started the new position. For the first time in years, Carmen did not have to wake up at 4 in the morning. She could have breakfast with Maya. She could help with homework in the evenings. She could rest. "This feels like a dream, mija," Carmen said one evening as they cooked dinner together. "A good dream." "You deserve it, Mama," Maya said. "You always deserved good things." The money from the GoFundMe page had been used carefully. Some of it went to pay bills that had piled up. Some went into savings for Maya's college fund. Carmen insisted on donating some to the scholarship fund at Maya's old elementary school to help other children get opportunities. Maya's friendship with Jennifer, Marcus, and Aiden had grown even stronger. They ate lunch together every day. They studied together at the public library. They went to movies and hung out at the park on weekends. Maya finally felt like she had real friends, people who saw her for who she was and valued her. Jennifer's family had invited Maya and Carmen to dinner one evening. Jennifer's parents, both doctors, welcomed them warmly. Over a meal of homemade dumplings, they talked about education and justice in raising children. Maya realized that good people existed in all types of families, rich and poor. It was not about money. It was about values, just like her mother always said. One day in late spring, Dr. Harrison called Maya to his office. Maya walked there, wondering if something was wrong. But when she entered, Dr. Harrison was smiling. "Maya, sit down. I have something to ask you," he said. "Next year, we are having a special orientation for new students, particularly scholarship students. We want them to feel welcome from day one. We are looking for a student speaker, someone who can share their experience and offer encouragement. Would you be willing to do that?" Maya felt nervous excitement. "You want me to speak in front of everyone?" "I cannot think of anyone better," Dr. Harrison said. "Your story is powerful. Your courage inspired real change. Other students need to hear that they belong here, no matter their background. You can help them believe that." Maya thought about her first day at Westbridge, how scared she had been, how alone she had felt. If someone had told her then that she belonged, that she could succeed, maybe it would have been easier. Maybe she could do that for others. "Yes," Maya said. "I will do it." The months passed quickly. Summer came and went. Maya spent the break working at the public library, helping younger kids with reading. Carmen settled into her new job and even took a weekend off to take Maya to the beach for the first time in years. They built sand castles and ate ice cream and laughed in the sunshine. Before Maya knew it, it was September again. A new school year was beginning. Maya was starting her sophomore year. She was no longer the scared new student. She was confident. She belonged. The new student orientation was held in the auditorium on the first day of school. 200 incoming students filled the seats, most of them freshmen, some of them scholarship students who looked nervous and excited. Their parents sat with them. Maya stood backstage waiting to be introduced. Her mother sat in the front row, beaming with pride. Jennifer, Marcus, and Aiden sat nearby, ready to cheer. Dr. Harrison stepped to the microphone. "We have a special speaker today. Maya Rodriguez joined Westbridge Academy last year on scholarship. Her journey has not been easy. She faced discrimination and injustice, but she had the courage to speak up, to stand tall, and to demand change. Because of her bravery, our school is better. Please welcome Maya Rodriguez." Maya walked onto the stage. The applause was loud and warm. She looked out at all those faces, so many of them young and brown and black and uncertain, and she knew exactly what to say. "Welcome to Westbridge Academy," Maya began. "My name is Maya Rodriguez. Last year I sat where you are sitting now. I was scared. I thought I did not belong here. I thought maybe I was not good enough. She paused, looking at the scholarship students in particular. Some of you might feel that way too. Maybe you come from a different neighborhood than most students here. Maybe your clothes are not as expensive. Maybe your parents do not have fancy jobs. Maybe you wonder if you made a mistake coming here. Maya's voice grew stronger. I am here to tell you that you did not make a mistake. You belong here. You earned your place. Your background does not make you less than anyone. It makes you who you are. And who you are is valuable. She told her story. Not all of it, but enough. She told about facing discrimination from a teacher who should have protected her. She told about the support of other students who stood up for what was right. She told about finding her voice and refusing to be silenced. I will not lie to you, Maya said. Westbridge Academy is not perfect. No school is. You might face challenges. Some people might not understand you. Some people might underestimate you. But here is what I have learned. When you speak up, when you stand together, when you refuse to accept injustice, change happens. Real change. She looked at her mother in the front row. Carmen was crying happy tears. My mother works hard to give me opportunities. She cleans for a living. There is no shame in that. There is honor in honest work. There is dignity in every job, every family, every background. Do not ever let anyone make you feel ashamed of where you come from. Maya shared the good news too. She talked about Mr. Williams and other supportive teachers. She talked about the student advisory board and the changes that had been made. She talked about real friendships and academic success and feeling proud of who she was. This year you will learn a lot, Maya said. You will learn math and science and history and literature. But I hope you will also learn something else. You will learn that your voice matters, that standing up for yourself and others is important, that every student, no matter their background, deserves respect and opportunity. She smiled at the crowd. Welcome to Westbridge Academy. This is your school too. Make it better by being here. Make it better by being yourself. Make it better by refusing to stay silent when something is wrong. I believe in you. We all believe in you. Now go out there and show everyone what you can do. The auditorium erupted in applause. Students were standing, clapping, some crying. Parents hugged their children. Maya walked off the stage and straight into her mother's arms. I am so proud of you, Mija, Carmen whispered. So very proud. Jennifer, Marcus, and Aiden rushed over, all of them talking at once. That was amazing. You made me cry. You are going to inspire so many kids. Throughout the day, new students approached Maya to thank her. One girl, a freshman named Rosa, came up to her at lunch. Rosa was tiny and shy, clearly a scholarship student from her worn backpack and nervous demeanor. Thank you for your speech, Rosa said quietly. I was so scared this morning, but after hearing you, I feel like maybe I can do this. Maya smiled and put her hand on Rosa's shoulder. You can definitely do this. And if you ever need help or someone to talk to, find me. Okay? Rosa nodded, looking relieved. Okay. As Maya watched Rosa walk away, she thought about how much had changed in just 1 year. She had come to Westbridge feeling small and scared. She had faced terrible treatment from someone who should have helped her. She had cried and doubted herself and almost given up. But she had not given up. She had found her courage. She had used her voice. And in doing so, she had not only changed her own life, but had helped change an entire school. Maya thought about Ms. Whitmore sometimes. She had heard that the former teacher was working at a private company now, not teaching. Part of Maya felt sorry for her. Ms. Whitmore had wasted so many years being hateful when she could have been helping students. What a sad way to live. But mostly, Maya did not think about Ms. Whitmore anymore. She was too busy thinking about the future, about her classes this year, about college applications in a few years, about becoming a teacher herself someday, the kind of teacher who lifts students up instead of tearing them down. That evening, Maya and Carmen walked home from the bus stop together, just like they did every day. The sun was setting, painting the sky orange and pink. Carmen had brought home empanadas from a bakery near her office. They would eat dinner together, and Maya would tell her mother all about her first day of sophomore year. Mama, do you think Papa would be proud of me? Maya asked. Her father had been gone for so many years, but she still thought about him. Carmen stopped walking and turned to face her daughter. She cupped Maya's face in her work-worn hands. Mija, your father would be so proud he would cry. I know this because I am proud enough for both of us. You are smart and brave and kind. You fight for what is right. You lift others up. These are the most important things. They continued walking hand in hand. Maya looked at their small apartment building ahead. It was not fancy. The neighborhood was not wealthy. But it was home. And home was not about money or status. Home was love and support and two people who believed in each other. Maya thought about her speech that morning, about telling students they belonged. She realized she had been telling herself too. She belonged, not because a school or a teacher said so, but because she knew her own worth, because she refused to be made small, because she had stood up and spoken out and changed things. One person speaking truth, standing strong, could change the world. Maybe not the whole world all at once, but their corner of it, their school, their community. And that was enough. That was everything. Maya Rodriguez, daughter of Carmen, scholarship student, survivor of discrimination, winner of awards, maker of change, walked into her home with her head held high. Tomorrow would bring new challenges and new opportunities, but tonight she was proud. She was strong. She was exactly who she was meant to be, and that was the beginning of everything.